This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Now, we have some questions from our audience members, and so let's jump right into it. We'll start with adfreeshows.com top guy Patrick Ruth. He says, Kurt, how would you rank this match? Would you rank this behind Samoa Joe as your all-time greatest cage match?
For TNA in particular, because I had a better cage match in WWE with Chris Benoit. But with TNA, I would say Samoa Joe was my favorite match because it was an MMA style match. But Jeff's is immediate second, without a doubt.
So there you go, Patrick. He agrees with you. He ranks it right behind the Samoa Joe match for TNA. Money Mike McClanahan, AFS top guy. We also call him DiBiase Jr. He asked, in 2011 and in 2010, Kurt had some high-profile steel cage matches with Jeff Jarrett and Mr. Anderson, respectively. Going into his third cage match, did Kurt feel any pressure to top his previous performances? Was there a conscientious effort on Kurt's part to give the match a unique vibe?
Well, I wanted to give it a unique vibe, but what made it unique is they're all different wrestlers. You know, Ken Anderson, Jeff Jarrett, Jeff Hardy, they all have different styles. So I never put pressure on myself to outdo my previous performance because these matches were all going to be different. We're all going to be different, doing different moves, setting the heat a different way, doing the comeback in a different way, and the finishes were going to be different. So I never put pressure on myself to outdo another match. But you know, I did put pressure on myself to have the best match I possibly could that particular day.
I think that's a great point. You can never really spend time looking about what you did in the past. It's like, okay, what am I going to do today that's going to really pop the crowd and entertain the audience and put on a really good performance?
Definitely.
You know, that's kind of how you have to look at it. It makes sense. Adfreeshows.com top guy Brad Stanton says, did you ever go up to Jeff Hardy and call him crazy for all of his high risk taking?
You know what? No, I didn't, but I told him he needs to tone it down. I told him that at house shows and some of the TVs, don't use all your stuff. Save it for the pay-per-views and the big TVs, the important TVs, because your body, you only have one body. Yeah. And if you bang it up too much, you're not going to be able to perform anymore. If you want to have a nice long career, you need to save yourself and make sure you only do the spots that you do in the most important matches, the pay-per-view matches and the important TV matches. The other stuff, you can just wrestle and have fun and, and participate with the fans and, include them in the match and just, enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Dance around.
Do anything, crazy. Jeff always did crazy stuff and he never let his fans down. Even at house shows, he was doing the swanton from the top rope. He was diving over the top rope outside of the ring. He always put his body in jeopardy, no matter what kind of show it was.
And I think what better person to talk to him about the importance of that than you? I mean,
of course, you know what? I didn't tone it down either.
That's why I'm listening to you.
I was injured and I never toned it down. So
listen to you call him
I was
a kettle black.
But, Jeff was a high flyer, and I was trying to tell him, listen, you're doing some dangerous stuff.
It's the pot calling the kettle black over here in Kurt Angle.
I know.
Tone it down. Don't take it too hard.
People told me to tone it down.
Mr. Torn Hamstring over here just running around acting like nothing's wrong. Yeah. Yeah, sure, Kurt. I love it.
I'm an idiot.
Adfreeshows.com slapnut 2 Count Kyle asks, which Hardy did you prefer working with, Matt or Jeff? And this is a good. And who was more extreme in the ring, you or Jeff? So let's start with the first one. Which Hardy did you prefer? I know you're going to keep it right down the middle. I can't wait.
That's tough. I can't pick. I mean, they both had identical styles, but very different styles at the same time. Matt had this. He had this hereditary problem where he couldn't bend his knees. I don't know if you ever seen it. When he gets up, he uses his hands and his legs are straight and he has to push himself up on his feet. And so his wrestling style is different because of that.
Yeah.
And, but he's still a high flyer. He does crazy stuff. Jeff, was just crazy as hell.
And smooth.
He probably put his body on the line more than anybody I've ever met. But who was more extreme, me or Jeff? Obviously Jeff was. But as far as which one was my favorite, I have to say they're a tie. I can't pick one or the other. I'm sorry.
Come on, Kurt.
I'm sorry. I know I'm being political right now.
Oh, so politically correct. He told me off air it was Jeff, but nah, he didn't. I can't do that to you. But I know you liked working with both of them, and so there you go. All right, let's see. Adfreeshows.com. Top guy Bryant Haresma says, sorry, buddy, I butchered your name. Having a match with Jeff Hardy in a cage match means Jeff would want to jump off the top of the cage. Did Kurt feel any pressure to try and outdo him with a moonsault?
Of course, you're going to be wrestling Jeff Hardy and he's going to do some crazy stuff and you want to kind of match it. But what I did is I decided since Jeff was going over, I wanted to let him shine. I didn't do a lot of crazy stuff. I wanted to save it for Jeff Hardy, and I think I made the right choice.
Yeah, no, I agree. Adfreeshows.com top guy Zol Lopez, our buddy Zol's back, and he says it's been discussed ad nauseum about the 6-sided ring. But what about a 6-sided ring with a cage? Does it differ at all from prepping for a 4-sided cage?
Actually, no. There's no difference. One's a 4-sided cage and one's a 6-sided cage. I think the 6-sided cage is a little bit smaller than the 4-sided cage, but other than that, there was nothing different.
A wrestling historian asks, were you concerned working with Jeff Hardy in a steel cage match given his affinity for jumping off high places?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I was really concerned about the swanton off the top of the cage. Other than that, I was game for anything.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's going to be, and you said Jeff and I worked together putting this match together behind the scenes. Did he pretty much tell you before you went out, hey, you got to know, Kurt, I'm coming off the top of that cage?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer that Jeff Hardy's going to go to the top and do the swanton.
So it's coming.
If he doesn't, he's letting the fans down. There's no doubt about that. Jeff Hardy is always going to give his finish from the top of the cage if he has a cage match, especially if he's going over.
It wasn't if he was going from the top of the cage. It was how many times could he possibly go off the top of the cage?
Exactly.
Good stuff. Ben's up next, and he said, did you like participating in cage matches? I love all the cage questions. If not, what other stipulation matches did you like being in the most? So what about it, Kurt?
Well, I wasn't excited about doing stipulation matches, gimmick matches, tables, ladders, chairs, anything goes, last man standing, cage matches. I would do them if I had to, but I was a thoroughbred wrestler. I like straight up wrestling, anything with technique and psychology and getting in the ring and just having straight up wrestling matches. That's my forte. But, don't get me wrong. I'll get in the cage and I'll do a last man standing match, no doubt about it. But they weren't my favorites. Straight up wrestling was my favorite.
And it's something because one of your most well-known, talked about historical matches of all time was that crazy match with Shane McMahon from King of the Ring.
The street fight, yes.
And that was the street fight. So.
2001 King of the Ring. I'll never forget. Yeah. I got so banged up in that match. Shane and I both did. We ended up in the hospital that night, and we were in wheelchairs in the waiting room high-fiving each other. That's how much idiots we were.
One of these days, me, you, and another member of that match is a part of the ad-free family. We'll all have to do a watch-along together. Mike Chioda was the ref for that. Me, you, and Mike, along with our friends on ad-free shows, will have to do a watch-along of that match together.
That's a great idea, Paul.
That would be a ton of fun.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. All right, Richie is up next, and he says, how would you compare Jeff Hardy to the other high flyers that you've been in the ring with?
Well, for one, I think I said it before, his size. I mean, he was 6'1". I mean, he was 220 pounds. He was every bit that size. And for him to do what he did in the ring was nothing short of incredible. I mean, Jeff Hardy being a high flyer at that size is truly amazing. It really is.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. When you think of that style, it's like more the Rey Mysterio guys and some of the smaller
guys. Yes.
Yeah, and then for him 6'1" to be able to do what he does is incredible.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.